Do you aspire to an uncomplicated and fulfilling way of life? I'm Dianne Squires AKA D-Anne. That's what all my friends call me. I'm an island woman living on the island of Barbados and walking my path to a big and simple life. Walk with me and learn with me. Welcome to the Island Woman Podcast. I'm so happy to finally be recording the first episode of the Island Woman podcast. Earlier this year, I turned 50, and it's a milestone that I was and still am grateful to have reached. And in this first episode, I want to share how I intend to change. Yes, change as a now 50-year-old island woman, because I believe it's never too late to change for the better. Now, turning 50 is the kind of moment that causes you to stop and reflect on what has gone before and what is to come. You think about your experiences and you try to assess if you've done good or not. At least that's where I was. It's a moment to wipe the slate clean in some areas of your life and start over if you have to. And it's also a moment to set some things right, to keep doing what's been right so far, and to say goodbye to the things that just are not working anymore. Let me say it again. I believe it's never too late to change. There's no sense in being stuck in your ways if it's causing you misery or it's keeping you from the goals you really want to achieve. And I don't know about you, but I am not going to give up on major life goals because I think 50 is too old to go after them. There's not a chance of that happening. So what I'm actually doing is I am going into high gear and thinking far more strategically about how I can reach those goals faster. So today, I am going to share with you 3 main things that I'm changing so that I can make a simple and fulfilling midlife and senior life a reality for myself, should God see it fit to have me around for that long. The first thing is my thinking about money. Now, if you lived in my head, you'd know that I have come to believe, or had come to believe, that when it comes to me and money, there would never be enough. It's not what I intended to believe, but somehow that's what happened. And it created a lot of anxiety, especially around spending. And it's good, it's fantastic to be prudent with your money, but it's a problem if you always feel fearful of using it, even to acquire the things that you need. And you know what? I noticed that this problem with anxiety was kind of a general thing. And I know like getting the nerves can get you ready for a big occasion, but it can also get you to a point where it just paralyzes you or it hinders you from making good decisions. And I started to notice that about myself. So what am I doing to cure this anxiety? I'm becoming aware of it when it sets in, and I'm taking a pause, but I've also started a new habit. In my daily meditations, I reflect on and recite a Bible verse that addresses anxiety directly. It's Philippians chapter 4, verses 6 and 7, which say, "Be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God, and the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus." So it tells you exactly what to do to conquer anxiety. So if I'm anxious about expenses and money, I pray about it and I give thanks for what I already have. What would I like the outcome of the situation to be? I pray about that. And then ultimately I leave it up to God and I do what I can do, which means that my effort is in the prayer and in doing what I can, but not in worrying about what I can't control. I've started to put the effort where it counts, and it really has made a big difference. No, that's not to say that I'm totally cured. I'm definitely not. And that's why it's a practice. And so I am reciting and meditating on that verse daily, because when those anxious moments come, I want the solution for that anxiety to be top of mind, to be in the front of my brain, to just recite it and remember to calm down and do what I can and leave the rest with God. So the first thing was trying to change my thinking around money. And the second thing is about habit formation. Now, I want to explain this a little bit because where do I think that anxiety came from? Somehow I believe it's linked to looking at the world from an inferior view as an underdog, kind of always trying to catch up. This could be a lot of things. It could be because I'm from a small island and we're always saying, we're comparing ourselves unfavorably to those people in developed countries. Oh, they have more opportunities. They have better infrastructure. They're just bigger and all the things, which could be true. Also, it could be because a traumatic part of my history as a Black woman living here on a small island is that I'm descended from people who were enslaved, oppressed, and brought to this island to labor on someone else's behalf over hundreds of years. So maybe inferiority is somehow kind of encoded in me and also in the people of my race who are here on this island. But, and I have to say this is a big, huge but, I am committed to developing habits from a foundation of knowing that I have worth equal to any other human, any other place on this planet. Now, I have to tell you, this point was originally going to be about forming new habits, and that is definitely important. But for the kind of transformational life change that I desire, I think it's a lot deeper than that. I need to form habits that build on positive things about me and not just to combat what I perceive as negative. I can't come from the underdog position all the time. I can't. I need to continue my practice of meditating on my vision and my conquering anxiety every morning to remind myself of my worth and not to get to the point of being worthy, if you understand what I mean. It's kind of like building on shaky soil. You might put a pretty house on it, but it won't stand for long. But if you start on bedrock, a solid foundation, it gives you a far better chance of having a home that stands for many, many generations. And for me, that bedrock is remembering that I am an equal. And everything that I do should start from that point. So it's about the foundation of the habits that I want to form. And then I can start building those habits. Now, that takes me to the third thing, the third major change that I'm making at 50. I will be comparing myself favorably with others. And I've spent way, way, way too many years doing the exact opposite of that. And it's really not helping, so it has to change. Now, how am I going to do this? What I'm going to do is I'm going to recognize and admire other people for what they are great at. They're great at what they do. I will celebrate that 100%. At the same time, I'm going to recognize and affirm myself for what I am great at. I'm great at doing what I do, being who I am, and I will most definitely celebrate the heck out of that. So that kind of wraps up the three major things that I am going to change. And if you're listening to, or if you're watching this podcast, there's a very strong chance that, you might be around the age of 50. Maybe you're older, maybe you're younger, but you're probably aspiring to some big change. And hopefully I've shared something that has helped, but this is really my perspective. The main thing that I want to leave with you is that it is never too late to change. And it is always a good time to change for the better. If you have made it to the end of this episode with me, I am so thankful. Thank you so much for taking the time. If you liked the episode, please share it with a friend, leave a comment, let me know what you think. If you watched this on YouTube, give this a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel and clicking the notification bell to see when the next episode of the Island Woman podcast goes life. This has been the first episode of the Island Woman podcast. I'm your Island Woman, Dianne Squires, AKA D-Anne. Until next time, peace.